how you doing today?
I'm alright. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm Joe from Integrity Home Exteriors.
Oh, nice to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you. So what are we looking at for you today?
Just some windows.
Okay, awesome. Well, just to give you an idea of what we'll accomplish for you today, first I'm going to give you a little information about our company. I'm sure if and when you decide to do a project like this, you want to work with a company that's reputable, right?
Right.
Awesome. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about how putting new windows in your home is an investment and how they absolutely pay for themselves through three major ways: increased equity, resale value, and the biggest one's energy savings. After that, I'm going to tell you about what windows go in the Toledo market here. So in our market, windows can range anywhere from $500 a window to $2,000 a window installed. How many windows did you say you had?
6.
6 windows? Okay, for the whole house?
Yep.
6? Okay. So that's anywhere from $3,000 a window all the way up to $12,000 a window. I'm sure you can agree there's a big difference in quality between $3,000 and $12,000, right?
Right.
So my job is just to educate you on those differences so you have that information for the if and when. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Awesome. Last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to put everything down on paper so you have that for the if and when. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, John, when it comes to how long you been living here?
About 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Do you know how old the house is?
I think it was built in 87.
87. Gotcha. And how old are the windows?
I have no idea.
No. Do you think they're original or?
Possibly. I don't know.
Possibly?
Yeah.
Okay.
They might have been replaced years ago now.
Okay. So let me ask you, when it comes to doing the windows in your home, I mean, what are you really looking to accomplish, hoping to achieve? Realistically, what's most important to you, John?
I want to stop some of the cold air from getting in.
Okay.
Some of the rooms just you can't keep them a good solid temperature.
Stopping the cold air from coming in and getting consistent temperatures.
Yeah.
What else? What else are you looking for?
Just quality. Some of the latches are broken on the windows.
Okay. Looking for something with quality.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So stopping cold air from coming in, making more consistent temperature in the home, and then getting a quality window that's not going to have broken latches and things like that.
Right.
Okay. Well, before we jump into it, John, I just got to ask you, is there anyone else involved in picking out parts and pieces? Is there anything for your windows? Anybody involved? Just you?
Yep.
So no one else has got an opinion about, what colors you're looking for, anything like that?
Nope.
Gotcha. Live here alone?
No.
No? Huh. You live with your dog?
No, my wife.
Your wife? Okay, cool. So she doesn't have any opinion on what the window should look like?
No, she's just white windows.
Just white windows? Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So what you're saying is that if you like the windows and you like their company, then you would be able to make a $5,000, $15,000, $20,000 decision without her?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's get started. Where's she at today? She busy?
Yeah, she's out with the kids.
How many kids you got?
2.
2? How old are they?
3 and 7.
What are their social security numbers? I'm just kidding.
I don't even know that one.
All right. You should know.
That's my wife knows that, so she has the kids out.
All right. So let me get in here and tell you a little bit of information about our company. So this is what's called our foundation and core values. So we are a faith-based company. Our owner endeavors to use biblical principles to guide him in the decision he makes as a business owner. And from that, we have what's called our core values. So these are things that we want to look for in people who we bring into our company. These are things that are very important to us and how we implement them with our customers. So first is family. We believe in treating everyone like their family. That means doing the same type of work on your house that we would do on our own. Also, we have what's called our win-win-win philosophy. So first, you have to win. If you're not winning, nobody's winning, right? Second, our employees have to win. That way they're highly motivated to do their jobs and to go above and beyond. And then last but not least, the company's got to win. We got to be able to be around here 10, 15, 20 years to service our customers and take care of our warranties. Next is integrity. That means doing what's right even when nobody's looking. And we think, hey, if it's going to be on our shirt, if it's going to be on our vans, it should be one of our core values, right? So if we're doing a project and we find something, first we're going to make you aware of it. And then second, if we make a mistake, we're going to do everything in our power to fix it for you. Next is the pursuit of elite. So whenever we do a project, we want to do it right the first time. With our windows, we offer lifetime warranties on everything, and it really doesn't make sense for us to do a project that we're going to have to constantly come back out and keep fixing and keep repairing for free for you. So we want to do things right the first time, measure twice, cut once, and then last but not least is serving others. This is one of my favorite things about my job. I got to go out, meet new people every day, find people with problems, and find ways on how I can help them. So let me ask you, when it comes to the core values, are these the type of values you would like to see in a company working on your home?
Definitely.
Awesome. So this is a little bit more of the brass tacks. So let me ask you, have you ever heard of Qualified Remodelers Magazine?
I have not.
Don't worry, nobody has. It's like a Forbes list for remodeling companies. They rank the top 500 in the country every year. And as you can imagine, there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of remodelers across the country. So to be on this list is pretty impressive. So over the years, our company has progressed over the years. Until 2018, we were number 11. And last year, we were actually ranked number 10. So this year, we should finish out at number 9. So we're pretty pleased with that. Just gives you the peace of mind that years down the road, we'll be growing as a company. We'll be there to take care of you. Someone could give you a 1,000,000-year warranty, but if they're out of business next year, it's not going to do you any good, right?
Right.
The other thing here is listed at the bottom are some of the different charities that we work with on a local level. So Habitat for Humanity, Race for a Cure, Make-A-Wish. We believe it's important to give back to our local community. And I'm sure you can appreciate not only working with the top 10 remodeler, but someone who values their community as well, right?
Right.
A couple of advantages of working with us. So we are a local company. So Integrity Home Exteriors, we are the local branch for Universal Windows Direct. We're based out of Toledo. We were owned and operated out of Toledo. We've been here for over 20 years. We started our franchise with Universal Windows back in 2015. So if you ever have questions, you actually can just stop right by our shop. You can call us 6 days a week. We're available Monday through Thursday, 8 to 8. On Friday, 8 to 5, and on Saturday, we're actually open from 9 to 2. And if you have any questions or answers that you need outside of that, you can call me at any time. We do have several different locations across the country, so that allows us, we're manufacturing a ton of windows, so we buy a lot of our raw materials in bulk. And what that allows us to do is allows us to get a higher quality window for more comparable pricing. If you were to shop at Costco, usually you get a little bit better mac and cheese when you're buying it 500 boxes at a time, right?
Right.
We don't use a middleman, so we go straight from the manufacturer. All of our windows are custom made. So every house, every window, they're all sized a little bit different. And I don't know if you've ever seen a house where it looks like they got new windows in and the siding on either side is a different color than the rest. So they put in a stock window and they tried to fill it in and this didn't really match up properly. The other advantage to making custom windows and going straight from the factory is there's no middleman. We're not having to worry about 5 guys handling the window before it gets to us. That affects timelines. You got to include everybody else's overhead and all that type of stuff. So this allows us to be more consistent as well as get a better quality product. And all of our windows, or the majority of our windows, come with a double lifetime warranty. So that's for as long as you own the home, and then 30 years to the next homeowner. So how long did you say you planned on living here?
Probably about 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years?
Yeah.
Gotcha. You plan on staying in the area after that, or
Oh yeah. I might keep the house still after that too.
use it as a rental or something? That's a good business. My dad's got a couple rentals. He really likes it. You ever done rentals before?
No, not before.
Anybody you know done rentals?
My grandma actually did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of times if you can get on the ground floor in like a rental thing, just even the rent just pays for the the mortgage, and then you end up with a free house at the end of the time.
Right.
As long as you get some good renters in there.
Yeah.
Our warranties would carry over. So if you're still own the home, you still get that original warranty. So even if you're not living in here and you're just renting the house, everything's still covered as if you still lived in the home. We do have exclusive rights to the Unishield brand. That's our brand of windows, doors, siding, that type of stuff. So it just means you can get it from us here in the Toledo area. And then listed at the bottom are some of our credentials. So we do have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Ever heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty known. You ever heard of Angie's List too?
Yep.
Great. So Angie's List, we've also received their top award every year for the last 10 years. It's called their Super Service Award. It only goes out to the top 5% of all the companies on their entire site. And last year, we actually had the most positive reviews for any home improvement company on their site. In addition to that, all of our installers are certified through Installation Masters. So that just means they have to go through a proper training and be constantly trained on modern practices on how to install the windows for you. Because you could spend $30,000 on windows and get the best ones out there, but if they're not installed properly, you're not going to get what you paid for, right?
Right.
The other thing here is the NFRC. That's the National Fenestration Rating Council. So they're a third party. They test all the windows on the market for energy efficiency, U-factor, to kind of give you a good understanding of how windows operate, as most importantly, energy efficient wise. And then you have the Energy Star rating of approval. You usually see that on appliances, on windows, printers. You see them in the weirdest places. So all of our windows are going to be Energy Star rated for you. And then this is what's called our home improvement checklist. So just making sure the bases are covered. So we are a licensed company. Not all companies are required. You're actually not required to be licensed in the state of Ohio. Not all companies are. The problem with that is if you're not licensed, you actually can't pull any permits. And depending on the city or the township that you're in, pulling permits is a big deal. So if they start a job and they don't pull any permits and the city stops by because that's their job, what do you think is going to happen?
You're probably gonna get shut down pretty quick.
Probably get shut down pretty quick until somebody's got to go pull new permits. And if they can't pull them, who's got to pull them?
I would assume I would.
You would have to go pull them. And then guess who gets to pay the fines?
Probably me too.
Probably you. And then who knows how long that's going to take. Now you got a bunch of holes in your house. Praying it's not snowing out because in the wintertime, probably not a great experience for you, right?
Right.
So we pull any and all permits that are necessary. Those are all included in your job. There's no extra fees for those. That's another thing too, is a lot of companies say, we'll take care of the permits on the back end, price-wise, and then they can just make up whatever number they want because you've already done work with them.
Right.
So we pull everything up ahead of time. Insured, every job that we go out to, we insure the home for $2 million. Do you think that would cover your home?
Yeah, probably.
I hope so, right? We do carry a little bit more. We do some commercial work, but our philosophy is it's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Unfortunately, not every company has insurance, and some that do only have $5,000, $10,000, and that's not going to cover the car in your driveway, let alone your house, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure that we have everything we would need to do work on your home. In addition to that, every employee, including myself, that sets foot on your property has workman's comp. So if anyone gets injured, if anyone falls off the patio, steps on a nail, drops a window on their foot, no one is going to sue you and come after your homeowner's insurance. So we probably all know a cousin or an uncle or someone who hired a guy to clean out his gutters and he fell off the ladder and now he's suing him, right?
Right.
So probably want to avoid that if possible, unless you like court.
Not too much.
No, not too much. In addition to that, every project has a quality control officer. We call it our customer experience manager. So for our windows, typically that's going to be Lee. What Lee's going to do for you is he's going to come back out before we even order the windows. Deb will check every measurement because all of our windows are measured down to the umpteenth of an inch, and he wants to make sure that it's going to be the right size. So measure twice, cut once, so that when the windows come in, they're all going to fit in properly the first time. Because I'm sure if you're doing a project, you don't want to have your front windows boarded up for 4 more weeks because a window didn't come in properly, right?
Right.
The other thing he does is once the project's been done, he's going to go over, make sure it was done properly. Since he's not the one who's actually putting the windows in, he's got no problem making the guys redo something if it needs to be fixed. He's also going to make sure that you're overall satisfied with the final bit of the project before we ever consider it finished. And then any questions you have, timing, order status, all those types of things, he'll be available for answering your questions. And then last but not least, we are EPA lead-free certified. So did you say how old the house was?
87.
87? Okay. So the lead paint did end in 78. However, if we do run into anything like that, we are certified to deal with it without involving any third parties and all their fun fees and extras that come with it. I'm sure you can agree. It's worth it to invest more with a company that hauls, all their I's dotted and T's crossed, right?
Right.
Awesome. And then last but not least, we have our completion certificate. So this was designed to not only meet but exceed your expectation. So a couple things that this does for you. First is this kind of survey. It asks, when I came out, was I on time? Was I friendly? Did I explain everything to you? But more importantly, when the installers come out, did they install in a timely fashion, and did they clean up after themselves? Because when it comes to home improvement projects, people always have two big complaints. First, they said the kitchen was only going to take 6 weeks. It's been 6 months and you're still in the living room eating off of a Frisbee. Or they did the job, you're backing out of your driveway, you hit a nail, you don't find out till you're halfway to work on the side of a highway calling AAA. Probably a bad start to a Monday, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we want to make sure that everything's cleaned up properly. We go through with magnets, brooms, clean out the flower beds where we're working. And even if it's been weeks or months later and you notice any debris, please give me a call. We'll come back out. We'll do a whole nother cleanup for you. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. And then the other big thing that this does for you is, unlike a lot of companies, we don't require 50 or 75% of the investment up front. If you are doing cash or check or credit card, something along those lines, typically it's a small initial investment just to get the process started, and then not another penny is due until the entire project is completed and you sign off on it. We also have several different monthly investment options available to you, and those wouldn't start until 15 to 30 days after the windows were installed. Did you have a preference of which route you were looking at for the project?
Probably cash, depending how much it's going to be.
Cash?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So do you see how this was designed to not only meet but exceed your expectations?
Oh, definitely.
Keep you in control?
Right.
Let you hold on to the checkbook?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. And as far as our company goes, from everything you've seen, is Universal Windows and Integrity Home Exterior the type of company that you would feel comfortable having work on your home?
Yeah.
Great. From everything you saw, from being locally owned and operated to our completion certificate, what made you feel most comfortable?
I like the completion certificate.
The completion certificate?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Being local is kind of nice too.
Like a good neighbor, integrity's there. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
I mean, those are all great things, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So next, like I said, we'll talk a little bit about how your windows are an investment. So anything you buy, whether it's a pizza, a car, a house, windows, it's all an investment, right? So whenever people are buying a home, they're usually looking at 6 to 12 months of your utility bills just to kind of give them an idea of the operating costs of the home. It's kind of like the miles per gallon on a car. And what they've done here is they've actually shown it's actually the same home, but home A versus home B, the difference being home B has new vinyl windows in it. So the biggest differences you're going to see between the two is, one, it increases the home value. Next, it's going to lower those fuel bills. So no more maintenance needed. You don't have to paint, scrape, caulk your windows. Still got to clean them. They are very easy to operate. How do your windows operate? Are they pretty easy?
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Not too bad? Okay. The windows are going to tilt in for easy cleaning, tight seals that cut down on drafts, and they are going to be quieter year round. Now, it does list some questions here at the bottom. It's kind of some no-brainers, but I mean, if you were going to invest your money in the home, which one would you invest your money in?
Probably home B.
Home B, right? And if, had to sell the home, which one do you think would be easier to sell?
The second one.
The second one. And, you could probably get more money for it, right?
Right.
Now, this is an article from the USA Today from the money section called Energy Bills to Cost You More. So let me ask you, John, do you know how much you're spending on average heating and cooling your home?
Let's see, probably, it depends on the month really, but probably about like 115.
115 on average per month?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this article, they actually have this pretty cool thing here where it shows you how much you're spending per month, and over the next 10 years with inflation, what you would end up spending heating and cooling your home. So this actually works kind of perfect because you said you'll be here about 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, so this is 105, this one goes to 120. Maybe to be safe, we'll say 105, okay?
Yep.
Save you $10 a month. If you spend $105 a month, every month, over the next 10 years, you'll spend $29,419. Now, that's a lot of money, right?
Right.
$29,419. So, obviously, if you can bring that number down, it would be a good thing. Listed here below, they have a list of all the different things you can do to increase the energy efficiency of your home. And E, with the greatest energy savings, is replacing leaky windows. Not only windows that are leaking water, but windows that are leaking energy as well. I feel like the neighbor's doing some construction. So whenever we replace all the windows and sliding glass doors in your home, we guarantee a minimum of a 34% fuel savings. So much so that if you don't save 34% in your first year, we'll actually cut you a check for the difference. Now, 34% of $29,419 is $10,002. Let me ask you, John, if you had an extra $10,000 in your bank account, what would you spend it on?
No, all kinds of stuff.
Like,
Probably go on vacation.
go on vacation, where would you go?
Down to Florida, I think.
Florida?
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Florida?
I don't know. Maybe somewhere around Disney.
Disney? You guys like to go to Disney?
I've only been once, but might as well go again if I cut
Sure.
$1,000, right?
So go down to Florida, go to Disney. I mean, with 10 grand, that'll get you like what, 1 day in Disney?
Probably.
So awesome. So yeah, we guarantee a 34% fuel savings on your windows. Now, the other couple things that with your window, and we just listed off here some of the biggest benefits you're going to see. One, it's going to boost your pride of ownership. So you're putting all new windows in. They're going to be nice. They're going to be clean. They're all going to match. It's going to save on your heating and cooling expenses. The other thing it does is it slows down the wear and tear of your heating and cooling system. So have you ever been like sitting like in bed at night or watching the TV and then you hear like your furnace kick on?
Yeah, sure.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no one's come in, no one's gone out, but the furnace is still kicking on. That means the home's not very efficient. And when that's running all the time, it's going to wear out quicker. It's like if you had one truck that you drove 100,000 miles a year and another truck that you drove 10,000 miles a year. The truck you drive is going to last longer, right?
Yeah. Well,
So it's going to do the same thing for your appliances. It's going to make it more comfortable year-round, which you said you were looking for. Cut down on vibrations on the traffic and planes. It is going to block up to 95% of UV rays, which is going to keep your table, your carpets, your furniture, your hardwoods in better condition, keep them from fading over time. It is going to be no maintenance needed. You don't have to scrape, paint, caulk, oil, do anything to keep up with these windows. They are going to make your home healthier too. So with every window, you get a free salad. I'm just kidding. So with windows, a lot of times what happens is you get mold around your windows because you got all that heat and all that moisture. And our windows have what's called the Health Smart Seal of Approval. So if you ever get mold on your windows, in your windows, we'll replace them for free. Okay? They do tilt in for easy cleaning, and at the end of the day, it's just going to save you valuable time. Do you have an upstairs in the house?
No.
It's all ground floor?
Yes.
Okay. So it does make it easier. You're not going to have to wade through the rose bushes or anything like that and enjoy your Saturdays, watching the game as opposed to spending 2 hours cleaning the windows. Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah, sounds a lot better.
Sounds a lot better. And after taking a look at this impressive list, I'm sure you can agree windows are an investment in your home, right?
Right.
So this year, we're going to look at some of the differences of qualities in windows. Before we do that, why don't we actually go around and measure all your windows so we can see exactly what we're looking at. Sound good?
Sounds good.
At this point, you're going to walk around the home with the tape measure, measure the width and the height of the windows. This is going to give you the united inches, which is the combination of the width plus the height. You're going to enter that into Lead Perfection or Leap, and that is how you're going to get your pricing out for the windows. Or if you're using the original system, you will just enter the type of window into the system to get your pricing. As you're going through and measuring the windows, you're going to want to make sure you're asking the customer a couple of questions. John, what did you like most about your windows?
I like how easy they are to see out of.
That's a great thing to have in a window, right?
Some people have those full screens or the grids in them. I don't like those.
You like them nice and transparent?
Yeah,
Good. What else do you like about your windows?
they're pretty easy to open for the most part.
Okay. Anything else?
I used to have these latches on them that keep them partially open, but those kind of broke off most of them now.
Gotcha. So you'd like to maybe see something like that again?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. At this point, after we measure all the windows, we're going to come back, sit down at the table, and we'll start our window demo. All right, John. So I'm going to show you a little bit about our windows. So when it comes to vinyl windows and vinyl replacement windows particularly, not all windows are made the same. So now earlier you told me that when it came to replacing the windows in the home, what you were looking for were windows that were going to stop the cold air from coming in, something that was going to help you keep a more consistent temperature in the home, and then a window that was good quality, that wasn't going to break on you. Is that still correct?
Yep.
Anything else you'd want to add to that, or anything else you've thought of since then?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. Well, I'm going to show you how our window is going to accomplish those things. So, this is our vinyl white in, white out window. Can you see it okay? All right. So this is our triple pane window. We do have it in double pane and triple pane. The reason I have the triple pane for you today is because it's the heaviest window and I'm the biggest salesperson. It was a perfect fit. So everything else though with the window is going to be the same on both of our windows. So a couple of things I like to point out to you. First, all of our windows are made with 100% virgin vinyl. That's a non-recycled vinyl material. I don't know if you've ever driven past a home or owned a home in the past where the vinyl on the windows has started to discolor or if it started to sag over time.
Yeah.
So what causes that is using a cheap or recycled vinyl. Because when you go to recycle the materials in your home, you're not recycling all the same color of materials, right?
Right.
They're all different colors. They all have to be broken down. And every time it goes through that process, it loses some of its integrity. So with using a non-recycled product, it is going to be more durable and have a higher quality for you. Now, we're not against recycling by any means. We want to make sure we're using the best materials possible when we're making your window. Another thing that we do in the construction of the window to make sure that it's operating and holding together is in all the corners of your windows, what a lot of people do is they glue and screw the corners of the windows together. The problem with that is over time, your house, it shifts, it settles, the windows expand and contract, and all these corners, they start to separate. So now you're actually going to have drafts in all the corners of your windows. That lets in moisture, it can let in insects, it can let in air. But what we do is we do what's called a fusion weld. So in the manufacturing process, we take a titanium plate, we heat it up to 365 degrees, and we heat both sides of those vinyl. And then when it's pressed together, they're actually welded in place. So now, instead of being the weakest point on the window, it's actually one of the strongest. We do that for the frame and the sashes. So the sashes are going to be the operating parts of your window. A couple other things that we do here. So all of our windows do have a lift rail on both the top and the bottom, which allows it for easy access. A lot of windows you have just a little piece of brass that you got to pull up and down on, or they don't have anything and you got to put your hands on the glass, which is going to get your window all smudged. Or if you said you got kids, right? So if you got kids, you probably don't want to push in and leaning on the glass and running up to it. It's not the safest thing in the world. The other nice thing about this is it makes it nice and easy to open. So I work out, but these are still extremely easy. Go ahead, give it a try.
It's really easy.
It's really easy, right? The nice thing too is with this top window, it has a little bit more of an assist going up. So although you're a taller guy, if your wife were to try and close the window, I don't know how tall she is, she's not here today, but then she's not gonna have to be really trying to close this. It'll kind of assist it in closing for her. So all of our windows, like I said, They do tilt in. Now you have some slider windows, right? The slider windows do not tilt in, but you can remove them if you need to. So they use a little different operating system. A sliding window was very similar to a double hung, except for it's on its side. So a lot of the features are going to be the same. So our double hung windows, which you do have one of those, it's going to tilt in both the top and the bottom. For the slider and the double hung, the screens all remove. So most of the time with a screen, you're going to have those little black pins that you got to pinch in, and you're breaking a nail. I know you worry about your nails. And all of these things, where what we have is 2 stainless steel coils. And all you do is you put it in its locker, you push, and pops into place. And go ahead and feel that screen, the frame on it particularly.
That's pretty solid.
It's very solid. I mean, you could use it as a home defense weapon if necessary, but it's very solid. It's made out of a heavy-duty aluminum, and it actually has stainless steel pins that hold the corners together to give it that strength. Most screens, you drop it from 4 feet, it's damaged, you can't even use it anymore. This one you could drop out of a 2-story moving car window, and it's going to be just fine. If you ever have any issues with your screen itself, say one of the kids decides to play football in the house and throws it through the screen, you can just drop it off at a shop. We'll put a new one in for free. You should have it by the end of the day. So this is going to pop back in here like so. And you're good to go. So we do have the option for a full screen. Traditionally, it'll come with a half screen just to give you a better view out the top. And I know you said that's something that you liked, being able to see through and not have the screen block the whole thing. Would a half screen work well for you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. The other thing too is this has like a fiber or a buffer so that when you do slide it up and down, it's not going to scuff your windows and make them all dingy, and then gives it a nice tight seal so that mosquitoes or bugs can't go around your screen and still get into your house. The other thing you'll notice here is on their window, both the sliders and the double hungs, you have this weather stripping. So this weather stripping is made out of a non-organic material. Typically, this is made out of like organic, which would be like rubber or something along those lines, or something that's going to break down over time. So usually these fall out of windows, they get really moldy and nasty, or they just become unglued. What ours do actually, and let me show you here, is they, instead of just being glued, they're actually built right into a track. So you can see here that there's a T-frame in the frame of the window, and the weather stripping goes right inside of it. So it's actually, you can't ever pull it out. You can pick at it, you can claw at it, and it's not going to remove from the window. Pretty impressive, right?
Right.
So that's what's really going to help with your seals. So if you're looking for something that's going to be consistent with your temperatures, that's going to give you that comfortability of not having one room be super cold and one room be super hot. So on the window, you have 1, 2, 3 sections of weather stripping. In addition to that, on all the main breaks in the window, the center, the top, and the bottom, you have your bulb seal. So the bulb seal is a foam seal that's wrapped in a vinyl material that's really going to give it the most watertight effect possible. It's very similar to the type of steel you're going to see on a refrigerator door. Now, hopefully, when you walk past your refrigerator, you don't feel a draft coming out, right?
Right.
So this is going to protect your home, keep it from having those drafts come in, really keeping with your consistent temperature in the home. A few other things about the window is you see this part here.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of a lip, and then you have a little bit of a lip on the top. So whenever you shut the window, they actually interlock and pull it back as close as possible to one another. Over time, windows, especially vinyl windows, if they're poor made quality, they can start to separate, and you get a little bit of a gap here. The latches don't really work anymore. You get a lot of drafts coming in, and if you're spending, $10,000 on windows and you got drafts in all of them, I'm sure you wouldn't be excited about that, right?
No, not at all.
So what we do is every time we shut the window, it pulls it back to its original shape. So not only is it going to give it a tighter seal, but over time it's going to keep it true to its original form. In addition to that, it does have some security features. So one of the things that latch will do is it'll keep someone from sliding a flat bar or a jimmy and getting access to your locks. So obviously it's your home. You really only want people coming through the front door unless they're invited, right?
Right.
So this is going to keep that from happening. In addition to that, you can see the lock has a solid backing on it. So whether your windows are locked or unlocked, you can't tell from the outside. So if you're like me, you're a little forgetful, you forget to lock your windows, it's not an open invitation for someone to come in and see what new television you got, right?
Right.
The other piece with our locks is another security feature, is it's a 2-point locking system. I don't know if you can see from there, but what this does is once the lock has reached more than halfway around, the top part locks the bottom part in place. So most locks like this, once you lock it, all you have to do is put pressure on this and it actually swoops back around. So you can probably do it with your windows here. But with this one, once it's more than halfway engaged, you can hit this with a hammer and it's not going to unlock. So you're definitely not going to be able, even if you were to pass this, you're not going to be able to access and pop those locks open from the outside. Again, keeping your home nice and secure for you. It is a little bit tapered at the end, so it's easier for it to find and latch into the existing window. So a few other things, and I meant to show you this earlier when we were talking about the operating part of the window. Most windows, when it comes to the operating system, they use a couple of different things. So what they use is you have this, which is a spring and a string, and it relies mainly on tension. And usually if you open a window really fast, you kind of hear it going, boom. Like that is usually a sign that you have springs in there, or you'll look in this part, there'll be strings. Well, what happens with, an organic fiber over time?
It's gonna get weak.
It's going to get weak, it's going to get wet, it's going to get moist. Eventually it's going to snap. And then guess how easy your windows are going to be to open then?
Probably not very easy.
Not very easy at all. And then the springs, they wear out over time. This is another type, and I know you have slider windows, but you do have one double hung. So this one in particular here is a coil that it goes up inside. These tend to work a little bit better than the springs. The problem is these require a lot more maintenance. So if you're having the metal on metal, it really is going to require a lot of oil to make sure these are operating smoothly. And guess how you oil these?
I don't know.
Neither do I. No, it's a great question. You got to get inside the frames. Usually there's tools from the manufacturer that you can use to do these. But if you're having to pay someone $49.95 for every window every year and a half to come out and make sure your windows are still working, and you already paid 10 grand for the windows, probably not what you're hoping for, right?
Right.
So what we do instead is we use this operating system here. So it's a stainless steel coil. It's kind of like a tape measure, except for it's got tension on it. And what that does is on one side of the window, it pulls this way. And on the other side of the window, it pulls the opposite direction. When it does that, it creates an equal balance. So equal tension so that the window really doesn't have push or pull in any one direction. So you could leave your window halfway open and you could go out of town for 5 years and come back and your window's going to be in the exact same spot you left it. You're not going to have to prop it up with books over time. You're not going to have to worry about your kids getting their fingers slammed in it. Have you ever had windows like that before?
Yeah.
It's a pain in the butt, right?
Right.
And then you got to use your high school trophies to keep your windows open, and they're getting all mildew because you realize your high school went cheap and used plastic. So this is going to keep those from operating. And then for our slider windows, these are a little different system, but it's still going to allow your windows to smoothly operate for you. And if at any time your window gets stuck or it doesn't operate smoothly, it's as simple as making a phone call. We'll come out and we'll adjust it and fix it for you for free. Okay? So those are some of the big pieces as far as the operating system goes. Another thing that you mentioned to me before is these ventilation latches, right? So you said you had these on your windows originally, and they allow you to open the window a little bit without opening it all the way. Now, your issue that you're having is the same one I have in my house. I have 12 windows, and at least half of them, these are broken. So what happens is they make these out of vinyl, which is the same as the rest of the window. It makes sense, right? The problem is vinyl, when it's that thin and it gets brittle, especially if it's with a cheaper vinyl, and you forget, you go to open your windows, they explode, they shatter, they put out an eye. It's really horrific experience. What we use instead is they're made out of Lexan. which is the same material as a Rydell football helmet, or in some cases they use it in body armor. So you can open these windows as hard as you'd like, and you can be having the worst day at work and going to slam your windows open, and it's not going to break them. And if by some magic chance you drank just enough coffee and you had just a bad enough day and you fractured or broke one of these, we'll come out and fix it for free. Sound good?
Sounds good.
And then when you're done using it, just pop those away and open your window up. I really like these. It allows me to, especially with having kids in the house, I can let some airflow. I don't have to worry about them opening the window all the way. And then in the summertime, I like to try and save on some money. I don't know if you do as well, keeping the windows open. Allows you to keep the windows open, still get that cool air, but not leaving your home exposed. So those are some of the other parts of the ventilation latches. And another nice feature, there's so many great features about this window, my goodness. So if you look at the bottom here, it actually has a bit of an overlap. So when it shuts the window, it covers almost the entire bottom of the sash. And it does the same for the sliders all the way across. That does a couple of things for you. I know. So the biggest thing that it does is if you ever have snow or ice on your windowsill and you open your window, that's not going to fall into your home. Okay. But another feature is it keeps anyone from sliding a flat bar or a crowbar underneath your window and popping it open. Okay. So in addition to that, if you look at the back of our window, this is what it looks like from the exterior. All of our windows are coated with TiO2, which is titanium dioxide, which is the main component of sunscreen. What that's going to do is it's going to protect the exterior of your window from UV rays, to keep it from fading, keep it from discoloring, getting that real chalky. You ever like had those windows where like you brushed up against them and they got like white chalk all over your clothes?
Yeah.
So that's going to protect that from happening to your window so that they're going to last, they're going to look beautiful for you. So when you go to sell the house in 5 to 10 years or you're looking for renters, it's actually, still going to look really sharp. So, I mean, if you had spent $10,000 on window, you at least want them to look good while you have the house, right?
Right.
Great. And then this actually here, now, if someone were to, you were to buy a window and you spent $1,500 on a window, I wouldn't expect you to cut it in half just to see what the inside looked like. So we did it for you. So if you look at the inside of our window, there's a couple of things I like to point out. First, you can see it has multiple points of reinforcement. So a lot of windows are going to be hollow. The problem with that is you have all the way to the window and the glass and you have a hollow frame. Over time, eventually it's going to bow. It's going to start to concave on itself. And if a window starts to warp and bow, how well do you think it's going to operate?
Not very well.
Not very well, right? So it has multiple points of reinforcement. These also serve as air pockets. So when you have like a down coat or things, they're made up of multiple air pockets to really make them as efficient as possible. In addition to that, we actually insulate inside of the frames and sashes. So if you have an insulated glass unit, but you don't have an insulated frame, you're still not going to keep the cold air from getting in, which is what you were trying to do in the first place, right?
Right.
So this was designed to keep that cold air out. So if you are spending $10,000, $15,000 on windows, you're actually going to be doing what you want them to do. Also, the sill is sloped at the bottom. So if rain ever hits it, it's going to drip away from the house and then fall out these weep holes here on the bottom. So these holes are designed to be there. Don't worry and think that the guy drilled a hole in the wrong place. But this is going to allow the water to escape so it's not sitting there building up a nice, algae dish for the frogs to live in, right? So those are the main parts and pieces. Like I said, this is a triple pane window. It's going to be the exact same as a double pane, just minus one pane of glass. So, and so I guess let me ask you, when it comes to our window, and you said you were looking for something that was going to stop the cold air in, be consistent temperature, but most importantly, it was going to be, a good quality. Do you think this window does everything that you were looking for a vinyl replacement window to do?
I think so.
If not even more?
Probably more.
Probably more?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe even definitely more?
Definitely more.
Definitely more? Awesome. And from everything I showed you, from the latches to the fusion welds, what did you like the most about it?
I definitely like the ventilation latches.
Ventilation latches?
Sick of those little breaks.
It's pretty impressive stuff, huh?
Definitely.
Did you ever play any football?
I did.
Yeah? What position?
Running
Running back. Nice. So football helmets were pretty important for your line of work, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. The high school, they don't call as many targeting stuff as they do in pros. So making sure you got a good battering ram is important to have, right?
Right.
Awesome. Anything else that you liked about the window?
No, I don't think so.
It's a pretty great window, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Awesome. So after taking a look at our window, and you look at the windows in your home, how much of your window would you consider to be glass as opposed to framing? Would you say 70, 80, 90% glass? What do you think, John?
Probably 90%.
90% glass?
Yeah.
So if you have a window and it's got great frames, great hardware, great operating systems, but it has a bad glass system, would you say it's safe to say that 90% of the window is bad?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. So one of the things we really focus on at Universal Windows is coming up with the best glass system so that you can have all around the most complete and efficient window for your home. So let me talk to you here a second about the glass. When it comes to the glass part of your window, or we like to call it the glass pack, there's three major things we look at. First thing is the glass itself and the coatings that go on it. Next is your argon gases, or the insulating factor of your glass. And then last but not least, is your spacer. The spacer is what separates the panes of glass in your window. So when it comes to the glass system, there's a couple of things that you can typically experience that show that you have an issue. So I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this before, where you get condensation inside the window of your home.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
You've seen that before? Do you have any issues with that here?
Not that I haven't seen any yet.
Okay. If it's not wet, sometimes it'll be streaking. So it'll be like smudges you can't wipe away. And what happens is when the seal in your window or the spacer in your window fails, moisture gets inside the glass, all of your insulation leaks out, and then now you can't access the moisture. So what you have is you have trapped moisture with no airflow and a lot of heat from the sun. What do you think that breeds?
Probably mold.
Mold. You have a nice little petri dish growing on the inside of every one of your windows. And like I mentioned before, our windows have a Health Smart seal of approval to guarantee you never have mold in your windows. Now they list here some of the hazards of having mold in your home. No, you don't have to be a doctor to know that windows are going to be around your beds and in your kids' rooms and things like that. And I'm sure if you have children, you probably don't want mold in their windows, right, John?
Right.
So one of the things we will do is show you how we prevent this from happening. Now this is only a 5-year-old new construction window that this happened to. So definitely not all glass systems are created the same. So when it comes to spacers, you have a couple different types of window spacers out there. Now, in this thermos, I have a cup of ice that you so graciously gave to me when I first got here, and I put these in on ice. Now, these have been sitting in ice for about, what, an hour?
Probably. About
an hour. So first, I want you to feel the tip of this one here. Feels room temperature, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I want you to feel the tip of those ones there.
Oh, jeez.
Pretty cold, right?
Yeah.
So this has only been in ice for an hour. Imagine it's been a month of Northwest Ohio winters. So the metal spacer is a conductive material. So all of that cold temperature from one side, from the outside, is going to transfer to the inside of your home. And imagine all the way around all of your windows is this metal piece. The outside is going to constantly be cooling down the inside of your window. So now it's not necessarily a draft that's getting in your home, but your home is, you have 9 refrigerators refrigerating the inside of your home. So you're having to constantly be heating those up. In addition to that, do you remember like 2 or 3 years ago when we had that really cold snap? It was like 20 below for a few days.
Yep.
I was going out to people's homes because they thought their windows were broken, because on the bottom of the windows, they actually had ice on the inside of every window because there was so much cold air and condensation coming through this spacer. It actually froze the water and the air on the inside of their home against their windows.
Jeez.
With the super spacer, which is what we use, the super spacer is a non-conductive material. So you can leave one end in ice for an hour and the other end is still room temperature. In addition to that, it has Mylar backing. So that's the same type of material that you see with like emergency blankets or spacesuits, things of that nature. Actually, NASA was the first one to really utilize the super spacer, just like Velcro. They use it at NASA, and now you see it everywhere, right?
Right.
So one of the biggest differences between the metal spacer, which is what the most people use, and the super spacer, which is what we use, is going to be the conductivity of the temperature from one side to the other. The other big thing that you're going to see is metal is a very rigid material. Go ahead, feel it. I mean, that's why they build bridges and trucks and tanks and machine guns out of it, right? It's very durable. Whereas the super spacer is very flexible. So when it comes to hot and cold temperatures, things do what?
They expand and contract.
They expand and contract. And so you can imagine your entire window is expanding and contracting. The only piece that isn't is the seal to your glass package. Eventually what's going to happen is that seal is going to pull far enough away that the adhesive on the side of your metal is going to separate, and then you have seal failure. So when you have seal failure, all of your insulation is going to leak out of the window because it's typically denser than air. So there's nothing holding it in, and then moisture is going to get in. Even if moisture doesn't get in, which is going to cause your windows to look bad, you're not going to have any insulation in your windows. So if you thought they were cold before with the metal spacer, wait till you find out how cold they are without insulation. And you told me one of the biggest things you were looking for was something that was going to have consistent temperature and was going to keep the cold out, right?
Right.
Imagine if you spent $10,000 on new windows and the cold was still getting in. It would probably be a little frustrating, right?
Right.
So with the super spacer, it actually expands and contracts as much as you need it to without ever separating the seal of that window. So they've done different tests here where they see if it's 18 degrees on the outside versus how cold it was going to be on the inside. The super spacer outperformed any other spacer on the market. Now, don't just take my word for it, right? My mom always said the proof is in the pudding. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to do my best to show you. So this here is a test result from the NFRC. So we mentioned the NFRC before. That's the National Fenestration Rating Council. They test all the windows on the market for energy efficiency. The way they do that is with the P1 chamber performance test. It's like a torture test for windows. There's only 2 of these machines in the entire country. And so what they do is the first thing is they do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of UV bombardment. So that's like taking your window and putting it in the middle of the Sahara Desert. The next thing they do is they take 100% humidity inside the chamber for 24/7. That's like taking it from the desert and now putting it in the Amazon rainforest. And on top of that, they take it from 140 degrees all the way down to -30 degrees and they vary it. Now that's like taking it from the Amazon rainforest to Toledo. It's pretty extreme, but every week in this chamber is equivalent to 1 year in the field. And the field being your home. So they want to see how long a window will last before it starts having seal failure and it's no longer doing its job. So the first window they tested had the intercept spacer. So this is a metal spacer. Every time they tested it, it failed anywhere from 3 to 27 weeks. That's anywhere from 3 to 27 years. So with that, could be as early as 3, could be 5, could be 10, but eventually it's not a matter of if, but when these are going to fail, right?
Right.
Now, what really gives that variety from 3 to 27 is usually going to be the quality that goes into the window itself. Now, if you have a window that's like $189 with a metal spacer, you think it's lasting 3 or 27 years.
3.
If you got something where you're spending $2,500 on a window that has that spacer, it may last the 27, right?
Right.
Now, they actually have the full metal spacer. Every time they tested this one, it lasted 3 to 21 weeks, which is equivalent to 3 to 21 years. So even less. Could be 3, could be 5, could be 10. It's not a matter of if, but when it's going to fail. Now, they tested the super spacer. Every time they tested it, it passed, and they actually stopped testing at 125 weeks, which is equivalent to 125 years. Now, unless we, come up with some crazy science, we can eat all the kale and quinoa we like, but we're never going to outlast this spacer. I mean, if you had to choose, putting price aside, maybe you just won the lottery, which spacer would you prefer?
Actually, the super spacer.
The super spacer, right? It's a great spacer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I've had a lot of people ask me this, John, and you might be thinking the same thing. If it's such a great spacer, why don't more people use it? The answer is really simple. When it comes to spacers, the super spacer is a handmade, hand-laid product into every window, whereas the metal spacers are actually mass-produced by machines. You can make about 30 to 60 super spacer windows for every 250 metal windows. Now, what do we know about handmade versus mass-produced? Handmade is usually of a higher quality, right?
Right.
But it does tend to cost more. Now, let me ask you, if you got companies like Pella and Andersons, and they're already charging you $2,000 for a metal space window, how much do you think they'd have to charge you if they put a super spacer in it?
Probably double.
Double, right? If not even triple. So now you're paying $6,000 on window. You got 6 windows. Now, I was a history major, so I'm going to use my calculator here. But you got 6 windows at $6,000 a piece. It's $36,000. What do you say, John?
I need to win the lottery first.
Need to win the lottery first. I mean, realistically, at that dollar amount, they're really putting themselves outside of the market. But I'm sure you can agree it is worth it to invest more with a product that's going to last and perform for you, right?
Right. It's probably not that much more.
Maybe not $40,000 worth, right? Awesome. Next, when it comes to the window, you have the glass coatings. So what we use on our windows is 2 layers of a soft coat low E. So what that does for you, the technical term is what's called a double silver layer. That goes on the inside of the glass, and the first layer is gonna reflect those UV rays, keep that heat outside of the window so it's not pouring into your home and you're getting a sunburn sitting on your couch trying to watch some football. The other layer is when it's nice and warm on the inside of your home and it's 20 degrees outside, all that heat's not going to escape out of your windows. So if you said you wanted something that's going to keep your home consistently the same temperature, it's probably what you're looking for, right?
Right.
The other thing is the insulation, so your argon gas. So I mentioned that a few times. Argon gas is a dense gas that is 34% denser than air. So because it's so dense, it's harder for those temperatures to transfer through the window, which makes it more efficient. Now, when it comes to filling up a window with argon gas, there's a couple things you got to do. With a metal spacer, you put it in the window, and then you come to the first station. You ever seen like a conveyor line system on TV, or you ever been to a factory or something like that?
Yeah.
They have all their different stations. So the first station, they drill a hole in it. Second, they inject the tube. They fill it full of argon gas, then move to the next one where they plug it with a screw and a rubber seal. The problem is, because the gas is so dense, before they're able to seal it up, part of that is typically going to leak out of the window. So on average, a metal space window is going to come to your home with only about 60% argon gas filled. So that's only 2/3 of your window that's actually insulated on day one. Now, because of the way metal spacers react and how the little seals work over time, 5 years down the road, you're only at 48%. 15 years down the road, or 10 years, 38%. And it goes from there until eventually you only got about 1/4 of your window insulated. Now, if you're renting the house out or you're still living here, I assume you probably get more renters if they have lower energy bills, right?
Right.
Now with the super spacer, have you ever filled up a basketball or a football?
Yeah.
So when you pump it full of air and you remove the needle, what happens? Nothing. It seals, right?
Right.
So they do the same thing with this. They'll actually inject a needle right through the spacer. They draw out all the humidity, all the oxygen, and then they fill it with that argon gas. And when they remove it, it actually seals itself. And then they put the Mylar backing, then they put the reinforcement, and they put it in your window. Now, we fill all of our windows up to a 97.1% fill ratio. The reason we're not filling it all the way up to 100 is you got to leave a little room for expansion and contraction. You don't want your windows to think you're having a Ted Nugent concert and blasting out all your windows, right? And even after 20 years, it's still going to have a 94% fill ratio. So imagine 20 years from now with the Super Spacer, you're still going to have about 30% more insulation than day one with a metal spacer. So, John, one of the things I wanted to show you as well when it comes to the efficiency of our windows, have you ever lit a window on fire?
I am not.
Awesome. Let's party. So, I'm not a science major, but this is as close to science as I'm ever going to get. So I have a thermometer gun here, and it allows us to actually see how the window does as far as efficiency goes. So if you pointed at your window over there, your window's 67 degrees, where the wall is 67 degrees. So our windows are very well insulated. Let's see, you are 78, I'm 84, I'm pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie. You got the lights over here, there a little bit more. So let's see if we measure the temperature for the outside of the, or the inside of the window. What does it say, John?
68 degrees.
68 degrees. Measure the outside.
67.6.
67.6. Now, we get some pretty hot days around here, don't we, John?
Yeah.
So what this is going to do is we're going to heat up the window to kind of replicate a really hot day. When you're heating up the window, make sure you do not touch the flame, the tip of the flame to the glass, and make sure that the tip of the flame is not connecting with the glass. The tip of the lighter does not touch the glass, the tip of the flame does. All right, let's check and see how hot it is. John, what does that say?
222.9 degrees.
So, pretty hot day, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what the inside says.
66.7 degrees.
66.7. 220 degrees, 66 degrees. You can even put your hand on it. So imagine it's the hottest day humanly possible. That heat's going to stay outside your home and not get into your home. Pretty impressive, right?
Pretty impressive.
I mean, if you had to pick between this window and that window, when you're already spending $10,000, which one would you choose?
The one with insulation in it.
The one with the insulation in it, right? Kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
The last thing I want to show you here is our warranties. So I mentioned it to you a couple times before, but here at Universal Windows Direct, we offer a true lifetime warranty. So it's not prorated, it's not going to depreciate. You hear a lot of times nowadays, lifetime warranty, and then when you find out, you try to use it, well, actually by a lifetime, we meant the lifetime of the ladybug that was in the case that you bought it with, which is like 6 days. So we offer a true lifetime warranty, and it says right here, most people's warranties are pretty complicated, a lot of fine print. You usually need a lawyer to figure it out. Ours is nice, clean, succinct, even had room for a few pictures. So it says here, Universal Windows Direct warranties its products for as long as the original purchaser owns the property on all the following components: all pieces, all parts, all materials, all glass systems and all frames, all locks and all hardware, and all installation and labor. So this is one that a lot of people don't do. Even if you get a good lifetime warranty for somebody, usually the labor side of things, they limit. Usually you get 5, maybe 10 years, because if there's ever an issue with your window, all they have to do is blame it on the install, and then they don't have to cover it. Yeah, it looks like Larry installed those windows. Larry doesn't work for us anymore. We'd be happy to come out and fix it for you. It's going to be $1,500 a pop, and we can get that taken care of. Sound good?
Not really.
Not really. You already spent 10 grand on the windows. Now you got to spend another $1,500 on a window. And if it's 10 years from now, they'll probably cost even more, right?
Right.
And it lists here at the bottom also, warranties from Universal Windows Direct are 100% non-prorated. So a lot of people, you get a lifetime warranty, but starting day one, it starts to depreciate and you go to use it in 10 years because your latch broke. And they say, well, the window was worth $2,000 when you paid for it. Yeah, we'll cover $200 of it. Pretty crazy, right?
Right.
So we don't do that. And it's 100% transferable. So if you do end up selling the house, the next homeowner gets a full 30-year warranty on the windows. So the only things here is it does not include acts of nature or vandalism, which is when you would go through your homeowner's insurance. But if you do have like one pane that's broken out by a vandal, instead of going through your homeowner's insurance, if you want us just to replace that single sash, we can do that. And since the majority of the work's already done, we usually try to do that as close to cost as possible. But there will never be a service charge. So if you have questions and you just want us to come out and check the windows, or you're concerned, or if you have an issue, or if it's stuck and you need us to fix it, we'll never have a service charge to come out and take care of that for you. I mean, let me ask you, John, when it comes to our warranties, are these the types of warranties that would give you the peace of mind your investment was protected?
Oh, definitely.
Awesome. Ready to talk some turkey?
Yep.
Awesome. So earlier I told you about Qualified Remodelers Magazine, and they do what's called a cost versus value report every year. So what this does is allows you to see what the average price of windows, siding, doors, home improvement projects in general, what they cost in your area. And how they do this is they'll send out thousands of surveys. Once they get 100 of those back, they're going to put those together to show you on average what you'd be looking at. So this is based off of 10 3x5 double hung windows with the wrapping the exterior with trim, vinyl replacement. So your traditional standard 3x5 windows. You have 6 windows, this is for 10. On average in the Toledo area to replace 10 windows is $15,932. That's an average of $1,593 per window. Now, like I said before, I'm not a mathematician, so you got 6 windows times $1,593. That's an average of $9,558 to do all of the windows in your home. Now, the good news is it does increase your resale value by 74%. So day one, you're looking about getting about $7,000 of value back into your home. That's not even to mention the savings on your energy bills, which was $10,000 over the next 10 years, and all of the things like that. So that being said, why don't I put together the estimate for you so we can see exactly what we're looking at? Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.